So we're going to go to Jason Swank now because Jason is expert in getting the money. And so he's going to be talking to us about the rejections that agencies mostly get. So over to you, Jason.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me on, guys. Hope everyone's doing well. Can you guys see my screen right? I just want to make sure it's working for you. All right, perfect. So the biggest thing when we are in a sales conversation, we need to figure out, is it a put off or is it an objection? All right. If it is a put off, well, we need to overcome that and recognize if we need to actually move forward. Now, let me give you a little context about me. I'm a father, I have 2 sons, beautiful wife, and I started an agency in 1999 by accident, probably like a lot of you. And we grew it to over 8 figures and we sold it a couple years ago. Started a podcast 8 years ago for just agency owners. So make sure you check it out. It's called the Smart Agency Masterclass. And 2.5 years ago, we started another agency called Republics, and we're a little over 25 million in revenue. So what do you do when someone says, send me more information, right? It's pretty frustrating, but really it means one of 2 things, something missing or something's, you're just getting blown off, and we need to figure out that. So if something's missing, it's really kind of one of 3 things. What information would you like me to send to you? And this is what I'm actually going to the prospect. When would you like me to send you the information? And this will actually tell you, how interested they are. And then why do you need additional information? This will let you know what other stuff do I need to kind of let them know, because it's all about if they understand the plan. I'll get into that in a second. Now, this is my favorite sales objection is, let me think about it. A lot of times when people say that, I say, well, cool. I certainly understand a lot of smart business people need to think about it. But usually when people say they need to think about it, it's either I didn't provide you something, you don't believe in the result, or you don't trust me. Which one is it? And you have to kind of teeter-totter a little bit about how much you actually want to push them. But it comes down to they don't understand the plan. When I was pitching a website to big brands and they said, let me think about it, it always came down to let me show them the actual process, right? So and this is the process I would do for a website. I'd say, look, most people are going to design websites. They're going to ask you which websites they like, which are basically going to say, which websites are we going to copy? What we do differently is we start with one concept at a time. And then about 25% of the time, we'll nail it down perfect. 50% of the time will be a couple little tweaks off. The other 25% will be completely off the mark. And that's how we come up with the concept. So that's just a simple plan that they can understand. A lot of times we're pitching our services and we're not showing them how are we going to get them results and our methodology. And that's so important. The next part is, how can I demonstrate the results we're going to get for them? And those are about the certain questions we ask before we even get to the proposal stage to get that objection or that put off. I'll talk about that a little bit more. And then the last part is, maybe you were unclear and they were the wrong prospect. Look, I have a true belief that there's no such thing as a bad agency client. There's only a bad prospect or a bad process. And a lot of times it's a bad prospect. And NBAT stands for need, budget, authority, and timing. So what is their need? What's their budget? If you're not asking their budget, I'll have a link below. I think all the speakers, we didn't know it was going to be 15 minutes. So we're trying to go really, really quick. So I'll have a link below for the budget. And then, are they the authority, and what's the right timing? The next is, do you have references? I never provide references, and I'll tell the client and I'll say, look, there's something that I'm missing that I'm not telling you, right? And I'm thinking subconsciously, what am I missing? What are they missing, or what's the doubt that they have? And bottom line, there's probably a hole in your sales process. Now, references have a couple of different things. References can hurt your agency because, look, I respect my clients' time. They're busy running their agency. They're busy growing, all that kind of stuff. I don't want to bother them. And then subconsciously, if you do give references, a lot of times that prospect starts asking questions that lead to strategy that you did, which is intellectual property, right? And that might actually give away the secret sauce. And they're not meaning to do that, but that's what happens. So that's how I kind of explain to it. And so what I try to find out is what is missing that they're asking for a reference. And so I tell them, like, look, I have tons of case stories and case studies I can send to you and video testimonials. Why don't, once I figure out what's their biggest kind of objection of why they asked the reference or what they're missing, I'll send them a couple case stories to them. This is probably one of my favorite is another agency will actually do it cheaper. And we need to think, they're not really understanding the price. You'll never lose a deal based on price. Well, actually, I did lose a deal on price once, and it was because I was too low. I literally went into a meeting, never heard of this company, pitched a $20,000 website. They laughed me out of that room. And later on, I found out they were expecting a $300,000 website. That company was Berkshire Hathaway. Stupid me for not looking them up back in the late 90s. So you will lose a price based on if you're too low, but never on too much. Because if you can let them know what's the value and ask the right questions to have them determine the value, you're going to win. If you can remember the 3 I's, what's the biggest issue that they're having? What's the impact? And you have them come up with impact. You cannot tell them. So if you're pitching them SEO and you're saying, I'll get you to the top of the webs, the top of the search engines, and you tell them what it's worth, they're not going to believe you because you told them. You need to have them come up with a value. And then how important is it to them? So then later on, you can actually follow up with them and say, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Did you solve that $1 million lead generation problem? No, I haven't. Glad I called too. And then I also educate them on, look, you're going to spend way more time with this engagement versus us. Like, so for example, I built our dream house in Colorado a couple years ago. If I was the one doing the general contractor, sure, I could have saved probably 20%, but my house would probably fall over and it would still be doing, still getting built. So you want to really kind of make them compare those options. Now, the biggest thing I want you to look at is this dividing line. Agencies, a lot of times when they're pitching a service, they lack the confidence, and the prospect on the other side is automatically have their walls up with resistance. And so we're constantly thinking like, do we have the right message? They're thinking, will it actually work? Can we explain the process? They're saying, don't try to trick me with your sales approach. And then you're thinking, do they actually trust me? And they're saying, do I trust this person? Now, if you look at this line up and down, you're constantly selling and you're pushing up against that line. But what the prospect's actually doing is they are buying, but they're pushing up against the line, which creates friction or creates, kind of pressure. And if we're constantly keep pushing back and forth, we're not winning. And the only way to reduce this pressure is actually pull them back. And the only way to do this that I've seen with an agency, any service-based business, is through an offering ladder. Now, I'll tell you a really quick story. I'll try to go really, really quick. And this is my last slide. And then we can go on to the next speaker. I had a client selling $5,000 a month retainers, month-to-month contracts because your contracts were just too risky. They basically keep an agency client, which is a whole other issue, for 6 months. And so basically every client or every prospect that they converted, they make $30,000. I told, let's do something a little bit different. Let's have a triage call, a free call in the very beginning for 15 minutes, just to qualify them, go through the NBAT, the 3 I's that I talked about. And then we're going to lead to what I call the foot in the door. We're going to charge them $2,500 in order to do strategy. A lot of you are giving this strategy away, but we're literally going to spend an hour with them, build a high-level plan with them that they're going to purchase. Let them know, hey, here's 3 possible outcomes. You'll love the plan. You'll go execute it yourself. Number 2, you'll love the plan. You want our help, which is the most common. 3, you hate the plan. I give you your money back, so there's nothing for you to lose. Then what we're doing is positioning the foot in the door. What we're building that plan with them, we're positioning a project. And I asked the SEO client, how long is it going to take you to get results for them? They're going to say 2 months. Cool. Let's do a 3-month project with them, where in 2 months, then we're going to start positioning the retainer. What we started doing is positioning the retainer now at a lot more money and at a year contract. So this basically resulted in 105,000 retainer plus the 15,000 budget or project. Basically, at the end of the day, their clients were 92,500 and some odd change more every year because of just changing the offering and literally pulling them rather than pushing them. So if you want to know more and you want to, you can go to our website, jasonswenk.com, or you can go to agencymakeover.com. It's 3 short videos that go through this concept a lot more, the foot in the door, how to get the budget, and how to qualify the prospect really quick.
Wow. Jason, I don't think my sponsors are very happy right now because I'm just going to raise my prices after listening to you. And I'm going to go back to that. I should. We all should. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. Your article is also in the book, and all the weavers can reach out to you from the article and also from the platform if they want to. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks.